you ready?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of WattheWut Club, week 26, I think.
Pog! No, I think last week was 26. Isn't this
No, last
27?
week was 25. No, it's 26. Last week was 25.
That means my numbering of my audio recordings has been off. Huh. Okay.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, it is 26. Pog.
Comments that I didn't read, and I'm now looking to now to see if I have
Yeah. Give me a second. There weren't many from the last time I looked, but you know what? It makes sense because they were on their best behavior last week, so they're on no behavior this week. But there might be more comments. I haven't looked in a couple days.
Apparently, I consume media like a serial killer.
Yes! That is true. I agree with that comment 100%. Very much, you fucking are a psychopath. One from Renru. If the creators of this video respond to this comment, they are drama-seeking, self-loathing, hateful, and mean. They're also cucks. Fuck you. I hope you die.
Oh.
Okay, dude. This guy's trying to make the fucking video go down.
No, it's okay.
No, it's not.
Oh, wait, shit. Are we still in the first? No, we're not in the first 30 seconds anymore, right?
I don't think so.
No, because the intro takes like 30 seconds.
The opening takes
yeah. We're fine. We're fine for monetization, then. It's okay. Some people seemed excited that we were playing the Metroid series, which is cool. I mean, I imagine if we do all play it, we'll do a backlog about it. So,
and some people were just talking about like how they consume media, which was neat to hear.
Yeah, I thought it was funny seeing a lot of people that have just kind of, similar things where like they just kind of do whatever. Like it was very like I feel like I was very similar to Gabriel Wright Dunn's, where he was like, yeah, I just kind of go through what I want. And then Luna's more on like the your side Craftsdwarf, where he'll go through everything. The only difference with Luna is I have never seen a man no life in anime like Luna has. I swear to God, he'll watch like 40 episodes in a day, go to bed, wake up, next day, same exact thing. It's actually scary.
No, didn't he, like, I think what the one I remember the most is because you were watching Gintama, you watched a bunch of it, took a break, and during that break, he literally watched all of Gintama.
Yeah. and let's not get it, like, I took the break was, like, a couple months, really, but, like, I watched Gintama fast. Like, I watched it more of a pace than, like, if you watched Gintama dailies, right? Like, if you started doing dailies for Gintama, which is realistically what you would do if you ever decided to actually watch it and not drop it at episode 50 again. I watched it faster than you would, even though I did take a huge break. So, yeah, he's insane.
Unfortunate.
I think the most serial killer part about what he said, though, is that he'll watch a show and then after watch the recap movie. And that's psychopathic.
A little bit, yeah. I usually like when I go through a whole thing, I usually like don't bother with the recap things, or I arrange it in a way that I don't have to, or I usually tend to stick with what I'm interested in. But yeah. So I'm ready to move on to the comment game. 3 people said just black, which is just funny seeing all of them right next to each other.
It is a funny I rewatched the comment game. That was a fucking great video, actually. Like, it was like rewatching it was super fun. I would love to do more things like that, like more like kind of like almost competitive shit where we gotta make something up. I just had an idea, but we'll talk about it later. But yeah, I thought it was a really fun video, and I think people seem to enjoy it, which is good.
If the government was as poorly organized as this game, we would all be living in Russia.
Okay, I got a fucking bone to pick with this comment and a Titania comment, where she's like, this was so well planned out. OMG, Vindy is such a great communicator. I don't remember if the comment game was my idea. It might have been.
No, it was my idea.
Okay.
We
First
did
of all,
literally come up with the rules on the spot. So
no. Saying Vindy is such a great communicator. This goes back to the same thing as the first time we did the seasonal thing and we did a draft. And I was like, it's a draft. And then everyone got all fucking confused on what a draft was. That's not my fault as a communicator. That's their fault for their general knowledge being lacking. Okay? You could try, like, that would be like if I tried to communicate with the fucking tribe of cannibals that ate Michael Rockefeller and I was like only talking in like Bane quotes. Okay, someone else would understand me, right? Like, people I'm communicating to would get me. It's not my fault that they haven't seen The Dark Knight Rises and don't know the glory of Bane. Okay.
What the fuck is that analogy you just used?
I don't know. I had it all planned to be a good analogy. If you want me to be honest, I had it planned to be a good analogy where I was like, and I'm talking to them in a different language. It doesn't mean I'm a bad communicator. But then the Bane quotes came out of nowhere, and then I realized I was like, I fucked the analogy because now I'm not a good communicator because I'm talking a fucking Bane.
I'm just like, well, okay, right? Like, first I'm like, okay, cannibals, okay, and then you're like Bane, and I'm like, what? It was funny.
Okay. I don't know if there are any other comments. Oh, there are a couple people talking about What being back. This was recorded before he took his break. So
these people are fucking stupid, dude. You'll know that the fourth member's back when he's on the fucking weekly. I feel like we've said this, and even then, we don't have to say it. Like, there's enough backlogs or random shit that goes up that he's in that you should know that doesn't mean that he's back. Like, fucking shit. Fucking
we still have two more videos. Well, at least one. No, maybe it's just one that he's on, I think.
Yeah, there's some stuff.
But yeah, anyway, also there's Master Spoon says he has a favorite from one of our comments, our videos, and it's I don't know who this guy is, but I think he might be a bad dude, which is apparently from my Red Man video, which is funny.
And I got it right.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. You got a point, but you still lost. Speaking of losing, we are our Twitter. As of recording this, our Twitter avatars are currently changed, and what they've been changed into is forever archived on the Weeb Club Twitter. Though by the time this episode goes up, we will have been changed back.
Oh, so, was it? I was gonna say, how long do I have to keep it? Because I might keep it forever.
It's 3 days. So
it was only 3 days.
Yeah.
No, it's a week. It's a week. Next
I'm
Friday.
changing mine after 3 days. You can keep yours if you want. I'm changing mine.
Yeah,
I'm
keeping
it.
I'm keeping
mine
it.
Is definitely the least funny.
For a week. I do think it would have been funnier if he had found like a Luffy among us or something, you know? But like, I do love the implication with what he did that he's Sakura.
Like, Sasuke is definitely the funniest because it has the Rinnegan accounted for. Like, that one's like that. I like that. You know, Naruto is Naruto. You know, he's iconic. Like, so that one, you know, Kakashi's just Kakashi. He's not as iconic, I think, and doesn't translate to Among Us as well. So, yeah.
Among Us? It's fucking hate Among Us. I hate that it's funny.
I'm ready to move on to the Reddit.
Okay.
So, first one, I have a huge bone to pick with the person who posted this. Please don't post Roboco spoilers. Like, we're just recording this on Sunday. The chapter just came out. I haven't read it yet.
No, this is from 2 days ago.
Yeah, I know. Jump chapters spoilers come out like Wednesday.
Oh, this was from the chapter that wasn't out yet?
Yeah.
Or until today? Oh, that is toxic, Master Spoon. Posting actual Roboco spoilers.
Hello?
Holy shit. The one manga in Jump you don't spoil is Roboco.
Exactly. Like, it's just kind of wrong. Anyway.
Let them enjoy their greatness, okay?
Hey, Vindy, what do you think about Gachi Gorilla's cheeks?
Bro, my man's is caked up. Let me tell you what. Woo!
I can see what Kanye is into, dude. Kanye likes the
got
curvature.
A dumpy. Look, Kim K's got nothing on those cheeks. Let's be fucking real. I need a side-by-side comparison. Somebody please make this and put it on the Reddit of Gachi Gorilla caked up versus Kim Kardashian caked up, just so we can see how inferior women are.
Unfortunate.
So this is one. The next one is about what and all their fake accounts on the comments video. But a lot of those comments were way too bad for him to even come up with, if we're being honest.
No, like, you can tell when it's a WattheWut comment because, you know, he has a very specific, like, brand of humor, I would say. And most of those comments that we pulled out weren't actually trying to be funny. So anyway, topic for this
I'll
week.
introduce it.
Okay, go ahead.
Since I came up with it. So this goes along with like I think like a series of like weekly topics where it's like kind of about like establishing what we like and who we are. So we did anime that we consider a 10, right? Like I think our best YouTube videos is a part of this. But the topic of this weekly is our favorite fights in anything. So I think here's what I'll say actually about it right now. Just so that we can talk about it from a specific stance and then maybe change, is mainly I mean narratively. So like boss fights, for this, I imagine only talk about the boss fight if like you want to talk about it narratively, right? As opposed to, because like there are boss fights I love from like a mechanical standpoint, but I think mainly talk about it right now narratively is more interesting. So obviously boss fights, and then obviously any fight from anime, manga, a movie, TV show, comic book. Real life, if there's like a real life like boxing match or something like that.
I thought you meant like a real fight like you got into for a second there. We did that episode already.
We've already done that. Crafts.
That's why I thought like why. And this one fight I got into that we talked about in that episode, 10 out of 10. Like what? Sorry, that was just where my brain went.
So does anyone want to start with a fight for them that they like a lot, one of their favorite fights?
Well, I'm looking at my list and it's definitely like I can't think of a major connecting thread, aside from like, wow, this, I don't know.
All right, I'll start. Naruto Sasuke 2. It's coming.
I think it's all like it's on my 3x3.
What do you mean, Nun?
You could have fucking picked something else.
It's gonna get talked. If we're talking about our favorite fights, eventually we'll talk about Naruto Sasuke 2.
Or we could start with it since it's
okay. Hold on. If you wanted to, you don't know. It is my number one. What do you mean it's not my? What else would be my number one? Gintama? No, that's number 2. Actually, I think it's number 3.
Gintama has number 1 jokes involving a character shitting themselves, though.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, actually.
You have to think about it for a second.
Yeah. Well, no, I thought of a joke, and I was trying to remember what it was from, and then I remembered it was from Gintama. I was like, wait, what about this joke that's pants pooping that I love? And I had to think about like the act, because I remember like the punchline, so I had to go back and be like, okay, wait, who was in the joke? And I was like, oh wait, yeah, it is Gintama. Okay. But fine, I'll leave Naruto Sasuke 2 for you then. I'm gonna talk about I'll talk about Kingdom. I'll talk about the big Kingdom fight.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to figure out how we're gonna handle spoilers for this.
Yeah, because especially Kingdom, None has read like a few hundred chapters of it. So
okay. I'm gonna some series that like are Weeb Club constants to spoil. They're gonna get spoiled. All right, we'll talk spoilers about like Naruto or One Piece when Craftsdwarf says, Luffy caught a curry, right?
Hey, you're right, but fuck you.
But for this one, I guess because it's less popular, I have to say what the fight is and a little bit about the fight to say why I love it so much. But I'm not gonna spoil like everything that happens, I guess. But my favorite fight in Kingdom, and easily one of my favorite fights in anything, is Shin versus Hoken. Is really, really good. It's in the most recent, like, long completed arc, I'm pretty sure. I am a little behind, so there might be another arc that's
there have been a couple completed arcs, but I wouldn't say they're as long as that one. So, yeah.
In the most recent, like, long, huge arc that completed, Shin's final fight in the arc is against Hoken, who has been built up for a long time, right? He killed Oki, and he did kill, I know his name. I don't know if I want to say it. The guy who Shin had a drink with there in the Coalition War, right? The guy whose army Shin was in before they got to Kanto. Crash? I'm pretty sure Hoken killed him.
If he's the old guy? No? Yeah?
Yeah. Duke.
Oh, wait, Duke Hill.
Well, I was trying not to say the name.
I'm pretty sure none had gotten to that part.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm pretty sure Hoken killed him.
I can't remember exactly. He was in. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yes.
Okay.
It was Hoken. I just looked it up. So I mean, Hoken's been like this huge bad. Has killed a lot of people that are very important to Shin. And that ties into the fight in like a really cool way where like the fight is almost about everything that Shin's been through up to that point and all the people that he's learned from and grown from. Both people he's fought and people that he's, been friends with. There's a spread in the fight that's so fucking insanely good. It's my 5x5 picture. But you can't really see what's going on in it just on the 5x5, but it's such a great fight. And I think that's the most I've ever enjoyed a fight in something reading it weekly, right? There are some fights I've read weekly that I fucking love. But this Kingdom one, I was reading it weekly, and every fucking chapter, I was losing my fucking mind. It was so good. I was reading it with like a couple other people, so every time a chapter came out, we'd read it and talk about it. Fucking great fight. And then what like the fight means for Shin's growth, and then like what happens after the fight. Finally, it's just fucking great. It's so good. So yeah.
No, yeah, I remember.
People need to read Kingdom because it's fucking fire. Holy shit.
That fight and the stuff afterwards with Kyokai, I think I teared up for both of those, and I think those are
the
only times I've teared up in Kingdom. So yeah, it's a really good fight. Like that page is really good. It's just like it's really cool stuff. And I think I actually used a screen cap from that, or a page from that fight in my anime or my manga 4x4 because Kingdom's on it, and I was like, what's a good part in the manga? Let's look around this fight, and I found that one, and it's cool stuff.
Yeah, I have I have 2 volumes in Japanese of Kingdom. I have that, and then I have Ace's speech in the Coalition War. And those are my 2 favorite moments in the manga, but obviously one of them is a speech, it's not a fight, and then...
Well, yeah, which is funny because it's in Japanese, so you can't actually read the speech part.
But I just look at it and I think about what that man was saying. Ooh!
Right.
Since chills down my fucking spine.
With the fight, even though there's dialogue and stuff going on in the fight, you can see the action still at least, even though, but you know what's happening, so it's fine.
Yeah, well, and I have the volume because it's some of my favorite moments from, like, my 3rd favorite manga, right? I just want to be able to see it and have it, like, on my shelf, especially because both volume covers are insane. But, yeah. So that's my first fight.
But yeah, I guess since you set me up,
yeah, I did.
I'll just talk about my favorite fight in anything. It's Luffy versus Katakuri, where it's like, I mean, one is I feel like I've talked about it to some degree in at least 3 videos. But so like I just fight, like the fight is just so interesting in the way it explores both like Luffy's character and like Katakuri wasn't in the manga for a very long period of time, but I feel like he's just, what has gotten across from his character is still like really great and interesting. Both for himself and his role in the family, and as how that works as a foil to Luffy. And I think what just is like great about the fight for me, aside from involving like basically my favorite character of all time, and a character who like works really well to contrast him, and it has a very clear and I think good message where like Luffy's one strength is more important than all these minor things that Katakuri is better at him in. But I also just really like the way that they like they both like display growth throughout the fight, like especially the way that like Luffy, who usually acts very instinctual, he, instead of like following his instincts to protect his crewmates, he leaves them with Big Mom, making this choice that he never would have made on Subreddit Archipelago, where he had this big failure. And, he fights Katakuri to get stronger, even though he could have run away at any time to go protect his crew. So he's, actually using his brain and thinking rather than working on just gut instinct, where Katakuri sort of discards, his desire to, like, help his family and does something instinctual and for himself and becomes a bit more like Luffy. So they have this kind of, like, inverse relationship, which is really cool, with just, like, because, they are similar in a lot of ways, but they're also really different. And, like, even, like, the other day, I had a realization on my way home, because I just took a walk outside, and when I was, like, literally coming to the door, I had, like, I was still realizing more things about this fucking fight. And it just, like, clicked with me how Flampe, who has a major role in, like, probably my favorite chapter of the fight, which I'll get into why it's my favorite chapter. Maybe not my favorite chapter. See, there's so many good moments in the fight. But maybe the most interesting single chapter is the one where Flampe gets introduced, and I realized that she's kind of like an extreme of what Katakuri is, where she's very much like, she's fake. She puts on these, these masks for, because she wants people in the family to like her, And so when Katakuri hides his face, and she rejects Katakuri, and Katakuri in that is kind of seeing like an extreme version of himself, which he ultimately rejects, and when he rejects his family for the sake of Luffy, which is also cool because that's when he uses Conqueror's Haki the first time, and Conqueror's Haki, it's basically like your own will, your own ambition, sort of like, you know, actualized into the wave of Haki. So he only displays it for the first time when he's doing something for himself rather than for his family. Which is part of why I think that's like a really interesting, you know, and of course the reason he's doing it is because he's like recognizing Luffy as an opponent, as someone who can like help him grow, and like it's just such an interesting moment, and you know, like the way the fight ends is really great, and it's just like, I think another part of the reason like I have a personal attachment to the fight is because like Whole Cake Island was when I was like really getting into the One Piece community and becoming a voice in it, I guess. Because like Beyond Blood wasn't my first One Piece video, but it was my first decent One Piece video, and I remember that one really clicked with a lot of people, and part of the reason I made it was to sort of explain Whole Cake Island and the misunderstandings I felt people were having about it, and I sort of timed it perfectly to end with like Luffy versus Katakuri, and I looked around and no one else in the community was like properly explaining what I saw in the fight and why I thought it was so good. So you know, yeah, so it's got that for it as well. Like, it's just, I don't know, I really love the fight. Go ahead, Nun.
Oh, sad. Well, you know, my favorite fight is Naruto versus Sasuke 2. I just think it's like easily by far my favorite fight, because it's like a fight that I think about so much more compared to other fights, like even like something that I could like consider, you know, other series I could consider like a top 3 fight. It's just like, it's not even close in terms of how much I think about that fight. Just because it's like the perfect ending, like part of the perfect ending of Naruto, in a lot of ways. Because it's like, I think the fight does a really great job at like making you fully understand just what Sasuke's thinking, especially with the additions that the anime makes to the fight with those not flashbacks, but it's like, you know, like Naruto and Sasuke kind of like for one interacting in like this kind of like afterlife-ish place, but also Sasuke kind of like having this representation of, you know, like, you know, the Sasuke alone scene, like him recognizing that like his only place in this world basically is by Naruto's side, and it's kind of like, I feel like in a lot of ways Sasuke recognizes that he, you know, like he really doesn't want anything other than like to have somebody, like to have Naruto by his side, and like, you know, like it definitely is kind of like Sasuke in a lot of ways is finding his reason to like keep living in a sense, because Naruto isn't giving up on him and isn't like leaving him alone. Especially when like you can tell like from just that fight, you can kind of tell how Sasuke was like kind of lying to himself throughout the entire series, in terms of kind of like, you know, like lying that he thinks that the path he's on is the best one for him, when really, you know, he does want somebody who's stuck by him and kind of filled that hole left by, you know, his family dying in the village, kind of fucking over Itachi and stuff. And I think in a lot of ways, Naruto saving Sasuke in that fight, you know, means a lot to me. And I think when I think of that fight, you know, I was like, damn, I wish that were me. Like, I wish I had a Naruto. And I also just think that the fight's like really cool in general, like especially the anime version.
I love in the anime when Sasuke's using Naruto's hand to make hand signs. Is super pog, and then just like the scale it goes up to and then comes back down to.
And they're like, you know, they can't even use their like, you know, Sasuke can't use the Susanoo. Naruto can't really use the Nine Tails cloak or anything, and then they're just like, you know, like they were fighting all day, and you can really like tell how long they were fighting and how worn out they are.
The animation for the part where, because, you know, I think people love fights where where like it has a really big scale and then ends in a fist fight. Gurren Lagann does that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think what Naruto Sasuke 2 does about it that's so fucking good is like how the animation does such a good job at showing you that these guys are fucking worn out. Like there's like a part where like I think it's Naruto takes like literally like 30 seconds to stand up.
Yeah.
Like he's like just struggling to get up, but like still throwing punches at Sasuke, and Sasuke is doing the same because like they really are fighting for like they're putting everything they feel and like their entire like person, right? Like they're whatever, like their ninja way, their person into this fight, right? So it's they're literally like putting like their lives on the line, right? And I mean, you could say they do that the whole series, but they're fighting until the end of their chakra, the end of their energy. Partially because they don't want to kill each other. That's something that I also love about the fight is like because I think about the fight a lot too, and I feel like every time I think about it, I either end up crying, realizing something new, or both. And something like I think about a lot with the fight that I really like is the idea that like Sasuke's suicidal in the fight. Like Sasuke doesn't like either way. Like the way Sasuke sees, like either he beats Naruto and he gets like his vision of a perfect world, or he dies and still takes all that hatred, right? Which is why he's goading Naruto so hard at the beginning into trying to kill him, right? And like telling Naruto like you can't beat me if you're not ready to kill me, because like on some level Sasuke
Naruto's holding back, or or Naruto, like he's bringing up the shadow clone thing as his like his fucking like that's his weakness to really make Naruto like go at him.
Yeah, like Sasuke wants Naruto to kill him, and that's why like Naruto gets almost the complete victory, because not only does he beat Sasuke, but he also makes it so that Sasuke doesn't die, right? He has to live in the world and deal with everything. And then their conversation after the fight, which I consider still a part of the fight, is so fucking good. And some of the like imagery and visuals in it, like, murder me as a person.
Mm-hmm. I also really like again, like that part where they were like, exhausted and stuff. I thought it was really cool, like that specific part where Naruto is on the ground and Sasuke like, steals his chakra for Chidori. Mm-hmm. Does he steal his chakra there? Actually,
because he has like 2 Rasengans left, and like Sasuke takes it, and then they have 1 jutsu left each.
I like the part where Naruto's on the ground, and then like he's about to like hit him with the Chidori, but then it, like there's this flash, and you see Naruto's face in his headband, and he in that moment he gets up really fast and punches Sasuke. I thought that was such a cool moment. Like when when he was about to like actually die there, he fucking summoned the strength to get up. And then like I love how like frustrated Sasuke was about that. Because when he hits him into the cliff, and he's like, "Why do you keep?" I don't remember the exact wording he says, but it's like, why won't you disappear and things like that.
Yeah, it's because I'm your friend. And then what does that mean? Because Sasuke, because he doesn't, like, he knows that Naruto's his friend, but he doesn't fully understand what that means, because he's trying to force himself to be alone. And it's only once, like, he actually understands by, like, hearing Naruto fucking say it. And then, like, the fuck... Oh, sorry, you could talk.
I think you were also going to bring up the Rasengan, like, when he fucking has all the people spinning it. Was that what you were going to bring up?
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh my god. Oh.
Yeah, in the anime, they have, like, Naruto's Rasengan being spinned by all the people who were, like, really influential in his life. Like, I just think the anime does such a good job with that.
And also Itachi helps out with Sasuke's Chidori as well.
I never noticed that until you pointed it out at some point.
Like, maybe it was in my Sasuke video, just because it's
no, I don't think it was in your Sasuke video.
Oh, really?
No, I don't think it is either.
I remember you specifically, like, saying it.
But your Sasuke video does talk about my single favorite moment in Naruto. And it really is only in the anime, the way that, like, it's my favorite.
Yeah, the Sasuke alone,
right? Yeah, where it's Sasuke alone, Naruto with Naruto alone, Sasuke alone, like Naruto with more people, and it's more and more and more, and then you get the part where it's everybody, and still Sasuke's alone, and then Sasuke sees that he's there with Naruto.
The fucking face he makes.
Yeah, and then he fucking cries because he realizes, like, as much as he wants to try to distance himself or, you know, break his bonds with people, Naruto's not gonna let him fucking do that. And then, like, the other part that gets me in that, like, talking episode is when Sasuke's talking about how, like, everyone kind of always assumed that it was only, you know, Naruto being jealous of Sasuke, but that's not true. Sasuke was insanely jealous of Naruto. That part fucking gets me so hard.
And I also just, like, really like how the anime goes out of its way to, like, show all the things Naruto did in the series, and really, like, play up just how, like, how far he's come, and, like, and letting Sasuke see that. I thought it was really good, really great. What else was there? Yeah, like, again, like, I do think that seeing Sasuke's point of view of Naruto was really good. Because it is just, like, you know, Sasuke was better than him, but Naruto grew so much more overall. Especially when he was at a lower position at first. And it's definitely something that, like, I've been trying to think about as I go through Naruto again, just, like, Sasuke's point of view of Naruto. Mm-hmm. And, like, it is very apparent why Sasuke would view him that way, especially when it's just, like, you know, I think the series itself kind of makes that clear that Sasuke kind of felt that way. Like, you know, when Naruto and Sasuke fought at the hospital, and Sasuke sees his like, the Rasengan's big impact behind the water, like, the water tower thing.
Even there's even, like, ways we see, we gotta probably move on, otherwise we'll talk about Naruto this whole time. But,
are you gonna bring Land of Waves in the trees?
Yeah, I was gonna bring up one moment from Land of Waves specifically that I don't know if it's what you're thinking, but the fact that, like, you could even see, like, the way that Sasuke would be jealous of Naruto, and the fact that Naruto was the first person to ask for help, right? Mm-hmm. Naruto's the one who went to Sakura to ask for help. Sasuke couldn't do that. Mentally, he's not gonna be the first person to do it. So, like, that, and that's, like, part of the reason that Sasuke gets jealous of Naruto, right? It's because Naruto's willing to work with other people, and that's how he's able to grow. Whereas Sasuke tries to just go to himself, but in the end, the only person that Sasuke can go to grow is Naruto.
I also just, like, really like how, you know, even in the beginning of the series, Naruto kind of, like, has the strength to, like, you know, like, have some connections, even though he's, like, been alone all this time. Like, you know how, like, Naruto talks about how, like, oh, I'm gonna go tell Konohamaru and Iruka about this, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, Sasuke just can't even bring himself to do that type of thing. Yeah, I just think there's so much in that fight that's really good and really representative of the series, and it's a great fight.
No, yeah, it's like, for me, you know, my favorite part of Naruto is just, like, Naruto, Sasuke, and their general dynamic, and the, you know, and, like, the fight just, like, perfectly encapsulates all of that. So
okay. Fuck, I gotta bring up one more thing about the fight. I have to. I'm gonna be so mad if I don't. I fucking love the lengths that not only Naruto but Kurama also goes to in the fight.
Oh, fuck. Yes.
Where, like, Kurama's giving so much of his chakra that, like, he even tells Naruto when he gives him the last, like, this is the last of my chakra. Like, I'm going to go to sleep for a while after this. Like, the fucking levels that, like, and this isn't even the Kurama that Naruto was, like, with, right? This is technically his dad's Kurama, right? Because his Kurama got fucking stolen from him. But, like, the fact that, like, Kurama's going to these lengths for Naruto as well is so fucking good. God.
Yeah, I love their fist bump. Like, right as right before Naruto does his Rasengan, like his final Rasengan. It's really good. Mm-hmm. Kurama's so good. I wish, like, more people would realize, like, how good he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it's your turn again, Vindy.
Yeah, Vindy, what's your next fight that you want to talk about?
Yes. So here's where I have to think, because there are fights I could bring up that I would very much like to talk about. But I also don't know if someone else is going to bring them up. So I don't know if I guess let's talk about Gintama for this one, because even though, like,
bring up Gintama.
Yeah, like, because I was thinking, like, I could bring up Hunter x Hunter. I could bring up Ippo, I guess, is another one, but Ippo has one phenomenal fight that I love, but Ippo hasn't had. Oh my fucking lord, this fucking man! Look, don't get me started on fucking Ippo. It's pissing me off. But yeah, I'll talk about I had to talk about Gintama. People are gonna be mad. There are certain people that might be mad if we talk about fights that I don't bring up, like the best fight in Gintama. So Gintama, I think, has some pretty good fights before like the last 4 arcs. And while I do think, by the way, that the last 4 arcs are the best part, I still love the rest of Gintama. Like, it's fucking great. But the last 4 arcs, especially fight-wise, I think take a big step up. But really, the last fight, I think, is just by far the best one. And I don't know what you would call it. Would you say it's like, what, Kraus, like Gintoki and Takasugi versus? Or is it just Gintoki versus? Because, like, the best part of the fight is when, the man. I'm not spoiling shit on this fight, but, like, the guy who's hitting Gintoki is, like, can't hit him, and then you see why, and he's fucking there, and then Gintoki kicks it, especially in the fucking anime. Holy shit. The way the anime uses, like, the moves that are being used, and, like, intersperses it with flashbacks to show that, like, the fight that's going on right now, literally, like, the like, emotions behind it go through, like, Gintoki's entire fucking life, and, like, basically all the battles he's, like, had are, like, leading up to fucking this one. And then right before he fucking lands the final blow, his face. Oh, my God. It's so fucking good. Okay? And there's another one with a Pog 10 out of 10 little conversation between 2 men afterwards. I'll never get over the line that's, like, no matter how many times we fought, I'd just as much rather have had a drink with you. Oh, my fucking God. Gintoki, stop. You can't say something like that to me. Phenomenal fight. It's really good. I haven't read it because I haven't read all of Gintama, but the anime did it so fucking insanely well. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, we're like, I have experienced the fight, but we have both experienced very, different versions, right? Not very different, but,
right.
In different ways I'm not sure of because I haven't seen it
right.
or read it.
Yeah, so I don't know if the fight in the manga uses flashbacks the same way that the anime does or anything, but...
And also it didn't stick with me as strongly, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. But just really fucking good. The final is insane. I watch scenes from the final maybe once a month since I first saw it. I will just put on I'm at the point with this goddamn movie where I know where to click in like the bottom bar just see the scene I want. So I click here, click here, click here, click here, and I just watch the scenes that I need to see when I really need my fix of bawling my fucking eyes out over this fucking movie and these fucking specific moments. Oh my fucking God. And this fight's one of them. Just very good. It's very Pog. I love Gintama. Yeah.
Okay, so to pick one that I don't think very many people are going to pick, I just want to talk a little about Jail versus Robert from Plunderer. Yeah, well, like, because, you guys know I love me some familial themes, but also, I just, like, Minazuki as a storyteller, he's a fucking crazy person, right? And so, I think the fight as a whole is good, but the one specific part that sticks to me a lot, both in just how it appeals to me personally and what I've like in these ideas, but also just what I as someone who reads into stories wants to try and keep in mind, because I think Minazuki literally just breaks such what would consider a fundamental rule of storytelling that it kind of it shouldn't work, but because of how he does it, it's kind of fucking amazing. Because,
Which is, that's the Minazuki special, right?
Right.
That's what he does.
Right, so, Jail literally has the ballot, the fire ballot from, Alan, and we're literally told directly that only, a blood relative can use it because of just how, it's, that's just how it works. That's how it was made and how it was designed to keep them under control. But then, because his, family bond is so strong, it literally because a family bond, a blood bond is something objective, right? You can look at the DNA, we can prove that people are related, right? Where a family bond beyond blood is more of the social construct of family and breaking that down and maybe looking at it beyond just the ties, right? So it's a more abstract and subjective thing, right? So but Jail's will is so strong. The subject, subjective idea of family like overcomes the rules of the ballot. And he, like, again, he breaks that rule of storytelling, like, literally, like, he establishes this thing and then he just shatters it with no explanation. Because it doesn't need an explanation, because it's just, you know, the idea of, like, blood, you know, their family bond is just that strong, and it, like, you know, it puts, like, the subject above the object in a way. And it's, like, it's just really fascinating on a storytelling level, and the moment itself, it just, like, destroys me. And it's, like, it's so fucking good. I probably should reread that fight because that's like the biggest part I remember of it. And it has been a while. There's been no new Plunder chapters like all year. I feel like it's so sad. It's been so long. Give me translate it. But yeah, unless you had anything else you wanted to say, Vindy, because I feel like it's, now that I think about it, it's been a while since I read the fight, and
I mean, I haven't read it since it was weekly. I mean, it's really
monthly,
fucking good, or monthly, even worse. No, it is really good, and I do love that. I love the entire thing going on as well in that fight, where not only is it jail, and his familial, like his stuff with his dad, but also the way he's gaining the support of all of the other members of like the army and shit, you know?
Yes.
Where like by the end of the fight, not just because he won, but because of who he is and how he won and everything, he has everyone on his side, you know?
Right,
which is also kind of a way he is his dad, right? Because that's, you know what I mean? Like he's really filling those shoes, and it's really fucking good.
Yes, it's really Wonder is so fucking good. I need to reread it honestly because I'm just like, fuck. Anyway, go ahead, Nun.
Unfortunate. So I have another fight that would be like my number 2, but I don't really know how to like talk about it or anything, and I don't know if like I'm not even fully sure if the reason I like it is like is related to anything thematic or not, so I kind of don't want to bring it up, so I'll just talk about Goku.
Well, you can say what it is.
Oh, well, it'd be Gurren Lagann's final fight.
Okay.
So I guess
I mean it's fine, I guess, just to say, because I mean I assume what you mean is that just it's fucking cool.
Yeah. It's really cool. Goku and Vegeta versus Boo. It's definitely my favorite fight in the series, because it's like, I think it's so impactful when you actually like read through the manga, because it's like, I think in the anime, it almost gets devalued in a sense if you've watched like all the filler and all like the movies and stuff, because it's like, it makes it seem like Goku and Vegeta team up all the time when they really don't. Like Goku and Vegeta versus Boo is really the like first time they really team up. Like they're kind of a little teamed up on Namek, but they don't fight, like literally fight together, you know? Like they're not.
Yeah, they just have a common enemy, but they're, like one gets beat, the other fights, they get beat, the other, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they're just fighting the same person. They're not fighting together.
And I think the Boo arc is really interesting, and like the conclusion to it's really interesting, because it's like, Goku the entire time thinks that he needs to find some a successor to take over, so that's why he's like trying to be a little more hands off, and but like him doing that and him not realizing that like Gotenks and Gohan aren't fit to be successors just makes the situation keep escalating and keep getting worse, and kind of nobody can beat Boo. So I think it's really interesting that at the end of the series is like Goku and Vegeta, for the final time, you know, before Super, having to, you know, like their individual powers aren't enough, but they have to come together to beat Boo. And, you know, for the last time, their, like, I guess, generation has to solve the problem, because, like, Goku was misguided in a lot of ways throughout the Boo arc. You know, Vegeta was going through his, like, you know, he was going through his little, I want to be the villain again thing. But by the end, they like come together and like have their, you know, they have their things, their individual things solved, to take care of Boo for the last time. And I also like, you know, I think the best part of the fight is like easily like Vegeta giving his little speech about how Goku's like, you know, finally admitting that Goku's the strongest, and that like, you know, he realizes the reason why he couldn't beat Goku all this time.
Yeah, no, the speech is really good.
And I like that it's his idea to ask the Earth for you know, for like strength and did you the spirit bomb. And,
no,
like,
the way frames it as like Goku's been saving the Earth for so long.
Yes.
It's time for them to finally fucking put in help.
and it's the first time the spirit bomb actually works.
More, yeah, right, more or less.
Like, I mean, I do think it was pretty significant versus Vegeta. Like, it was significant damage, but it's like,
yeah, no, it was like, it was, but it wasn't as big a deal when it was used against Vegeta, or it was still, pretty important to the fight when it was used against Vegeta, but it definitely different compared to like,
and I think part of that's because when he's working with everyone, right? Because like the spirit bomb, you can like, he draws energy from nature around him, right? And so part of that's like, Goku has to he has to work with other people, right? It's not just like something he can, kind of I guess use on his own, right? It's not a power he could just do, right? It takes so long to charge, to use, and he needs energy from other people. And that's why I think it is why it works so well, is because he's working with Vegeta, right? And he's working with everyone on Earth, all for this one thing, which is like super cool.
Yeah, I also think just like parts of the fight is like cool in general. Like I like Super Saiyan 3 Goku versus Kid Buu for a little bit. I think the part where Goku bites Buu's silly and funny. I wish Crafts wasn't terrible and didn't hate Super Saiyan 3 still.
I don't hate Super Saiyan 3. I'm just not a fan of the design itself.
I'm a fan of it for Goku. It's good. It fits him. You're hateful.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a really great fight. I think one way I do think the anime does do a good job with it is I'm pretty sure it has like a little flashback of like Vegeta, like how he viewed Goku over time. Like it does the Naruto versus Sasuke 2 thing a little bit. Like, his like initial introduction to Goku and him, feeling inferior and all these things, and like, his thinking throughout the series. I thought that was pretty good. I definitely don't think that the anime does the fight badly in any way, really. I just think that, like if you see Goku and Vegeta team up so much, it kind of normalizes the idea.
Yeah, right. It wouldn't see as significant when they finally do, right? Yeah.
Because like I just never even thought about the fact that like, they really never fought together. Like it felt like such a part of the series to me. Before I read it and thought about that. Even when I first read it, I didn't think about like this is the first time they teamed up. It took like the second read or something, I think. But yeah, that was it's a really great fight. Vegeta's conclusion to his character arc is really good. Really great arc in general, actually.
Buu arc is really good, yeah. Which is surprisingly unpopular opinion, but
Yeah, a lot of people don't have brains.
It's so sad.
I agree.
Also, real quick, so I say we do one more rotation, and then we can like quickly go through some fights that we don't, just kind of blitz round for any other fights that we feel like mentioning. Fair enough. Go ahead, Vindy.
Yeah, I want to do a video game fight, very much so, because I want to talk about at least one, but I'm having some trouble deciding, because there's a couple different ones that I really like. And I am, you know what? I'm gonna go with Gwen. I'm gonna go with fucking
yes,
Gwen from the end of Dark Souls 1. Because like it's so fucking cool and such a good fight, because like, and part of the reason that Gwen is such a great fight is because it's literally the easiest boss fight in the game. Like, it is actually, especially like it's the easiest considering, like, sure, you could say, well, the Asylum Demon's easier. Yeah, but like it's the first boss, and like you're not as good at the game as you are by the time you fight Gwen.
Right,
like,
for the part of the game you're at, he's like you wouldn't think that the final boss is like one of the easier ones. But yeah, but like it works because he's just a hollowed undead and mindless, just like all the other ones you've been fighting in that game, and which works thematically as he's just this like. He's a cinder, right? He's been, burnt out. He's just goes to the past. He's not, and like the fact that the music's in my head right now just because of how like iconic that fight is and how many times, I've also because I've done it more than a few times, but it's just like it's just really memorable and it's really good.
Yeah, well, like because I love it because like the entire game, right? You're playing through as this age of the Age of Fire is ending, right? And so as you're playing through, especially if you do the DLC, right? You have Sif at Artorias' grave, right? You have to fight Artorias in the DLC and put Artorias down. Ornstein and Smo, and like all these people you're fighting are either hollowed or they're like at the end of their like rope and they don't have anything. And then you finally get to Gwyn, and he's like one of the most hollowed, like, you know, I mean, he's technically a giant, but one of the most hollowed characters that you meet in terms, like, outside of like the actual fucking zombies, just because like what he's been through, and he's someone who's spent his entire life trying to keep this fire, and that's like his entire goal. And like, because the reason that, you know, and you've talked about this in your video, where like the reason that, you know, the player doesn't hollow is because he basically has something you're pushing for, right? Like if you stop playing, your character gets hollowed and essentially just like joins the collective. But like, because you have something to push for. But like Gwyn doesn't really have anything. He's just protecting the kiln of the first flame. But that doesn't really do anything, right? And he's not pushing for anything, and his age is over, and it's time for him to go. And so I love that by the time you get there, and it is kind of an anticlimactic fight, but I think that's like in a large part the point of Dark Souls, right? Is this age is ending, right? And so do you end the cycle? Do you end it completely and just see what happens next in the world, right? Which is kind of what happens at the end of Dark Souls 3 is there is nothing left after that, right? Like the cycle has been done so many times that there are no more Dark Souls. There is no next age.
No, like yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, I think I even bring up in the video about how like in the first game, you know, like yeah, it's a dying world, but in Dark Souls 3, there's outright like snow and ice. Like it's dying in the first game, but like there were still embers left in it. But by, you know, Dark Souls 3, it's all burnt out basically. So it's you know, yeah, it's the Dark Souls games have a cool narrative.
Yeah, and I think it's a narrative that what I love so much about Gwyn specifically is I think to get the point of Gwyn doesn't take much. You don't really have to think a lot about Gwyn to get it, right? You just have to play the game a little bit, and then like, you know, so you play the game a little bit, and you like as you're playing, you know, you see more and more, and when you get to Gwyn and you get the sad music, and you get this really easy, super anticlimactic boss, it's like, yeah, I get it, right? He's the same as like what probably happened to all of these guys in Anne Orlando that were probably these super cool badass knights. They're now fucking zombies that I'm killing in 2 hits, right? Like they're like everyone's just like the world is over, and it's really good, and I really really like it. So I'll go with that. I don't think that's my favorite fight, maybe narratively, but there are some that I think it's hard to talk about because I want to replay the games to talk about them.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also, you mentioned because you were the one who mentioned it to me from Tim Rogers, I think, having the idea of just like waiting to play Elden Ring fresh.
Oh, I meant not even Dark Souls. I meant like the final boss fight of P4G, Final Fantasy 7 fight, the final fight of the Pacifist route of Undertale. You know, I think the final boss of Nier Automata is another one where it's like I have thoughts on them, but I don't really. I would want to replay most of those games to really say something about them. But Gwyn, I think, is easy to talk about because it's so good and like so like almost obvious, but it's part. And it's not my favorite fight in the game because I don't love it mechanically as much as Artorias, but story wise, it's so good.
So my next favorite fight is also not from anime or manga. It is the Lupin Rangers and the Pat Rangers versus Destra from like episode 44 or so of Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger. And this fight, like, it's just like, you know, my favorite part about the show is just the kind of like general conflict between, you have the Lupin Rangers who are thieves, you know, they're phantom thieves who are, you know, they're breaking the law to steal things, but they're stealing from criminals, and of course the police are, you know, upholding the law and stuff. And the whole show is basically them like kind of like finding a common ground because, you know, there's the bad guys who are they're stealing things, but they're doing so chaotically and they're hurting people and such. And so like, well, the thieves and the police are basically like working to slowly finding this common ground, even though they have their major ideological difference. And it's just really cool how that works for this fight, because basically what the sort of conflict of the fight is that Destra, he's compromising on his ideals and changing like who he is because you know, he believes it's the right thing to do regarding the organization. Specifically, he like prefers to do things alone, but he's getting like help and assistance in some ways. Where in comparison, like the police and the thieves, like they technically can't work together. They could just kind of have been ending up doing so, both because they're being pushed to by the mid-season ranger, he's both the gold and silver ranger because he changes between thief and cop. And so he's been trying to get the two teams to work together, and for the last like 25 episodes. And what's really cool, like, so they're not really able to like plan and strategize together to figure out how to deal with this guy, even though they know they have, in order to defeat him, they have to work together. So what sort of ends up happening is like Destro has this, like, he can see into the future for a few seconds, like one of those powers, and like the two red rangers, the red the red Lupin Ranger and the red Pat Ranger, have a moment where, like, because they keep to themselves and who they are, they're able to predict what the other one knows because they've been fighting for so long. And so they're able to like surpass someone who can see the future by understanding each other and how they fight and what kind of actions they would take in the fight. And so because of that, they're able to get the edge on Destra and work together. And it's really fucking awesome. And there's just, you know, it's just like this really cool climax of the two teams working together against like basically the second most powerful guy in the antagonist group. And there's some other really good like the rest of the final encounters against some of the other guys are really good too, but this one just sort of stands out to me because it's just like it's just really cool, and it's, you know, I really like it. But yeah, I think that's all I had to say.
See, I have two that I'm thinking between. One of them's a movie and one of them's another manga series.
I should have talked about wrestling. I'll bring up wrestling later when we do like the quick run through. What movie is it?
It's Endgame. Fucking
talk about it.
All right. Obviously, you know, everyone versus Thanos. Well, the Avengers versus Thanos.
Yeah, the Avengers versus Thanos' army, I guess. I mean, he's not Thanos'. Oh, no, I guess some of his other guys have names, but they also kind of don't matter as much. Yeah. So, but anyway, I'm sorry, I'm just being pedantic. Keep going.
Romantic?
Okay, dude.
All right, keep going.
I think Avengers versus Thanos is like by far the best fight in the MCU. To me, because just like, and like I don't even like love Thanos like as a villain or anything, but it's like it was such a satisfying moment, I think, when they all came together to fight Thanos, because just like, yeah, like a lot of the heroes haven't like interacted just yet or like been in the same space as each other, but like you know, for this entire long series they're all here now and like they're all fighting, so it's just like there's no way it wouldn't like be one of the best fights in the MCU.
No, like with me, both times the portal scene happened, I was like tearing up / crying, like both when I watched it in theaters and when I watched it a few weeks ago, because it's just like, it is just such this big culmination of like literally like a decade's worth of and I love long form stories, so of course I would like the MCU, which is basically like a really long CV series with just really with these 2 hour long episodes almost, right? Like that's just how it kind of is. And it does a lot of the things I like in long form stories. So everybody's here, and it's so fucking good. Like the way, like, this is the first time in the franchise that, you know, they actually say Avengers Assemble, which is like the big catchphrase after they've been teasing it for like the way Age of Ultron ends and Cap goes Avengers. And then credits roll, like, fuck you. Like, they're just...
Yeah, well, because he does say it, yeah, I mean, he says it in Avengers, but then, yeah, not after that, which is so
yeah.
Yeah, no, because he says it in the iconic shot in Avengers, where it's like the circle and they're all there. He says Avengers Assemble then.
Oh, I don't remember. Weird. I don't know
I think it's cool, though, that it's like, you know, that first time he says it, then he doesn't say it, but then, like, you know, realistically, Captain America's last time being like in the event, well, like, you know, leading the Avengers and actually fighting and stuff. That's when he says it again. See, I think a lot of the things about that movie are like really good and like things I could talk about, but like I don't know if there's like a lot about that final fight I can like super talk about, but it's like it's still really cool and really good.
Yeah, it's funny because
it's kind of oh sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was so, because like when you talk about like the moment of everyone showing up through the portal, I was so pogged up over the moment of Thor showing up in Infinity War, because that moment is so fun, and there's so many things I love about that moment, like, you know, the fact that he shows up and everyone's really happy to see him, but Bruce is like the most happy, like great moment. But like I thought that would be like, the most hype moment. I completely forgot how fucking good it is. And the fact that it starts with fucking fucking Falcon saying on your left. So like calling back to Winter Soldier, and then it's everyone. And the fact that then Doctor Strange like confirms that like this is like, this is the fucking, this was the plan all along, and everyone's there. And then like all the little interactions you get with people, even people that like were together, right? Like I love when Peter swings in and like it starts talking to Iron Man, and then like Tony hugs him, right? And so that's like a callback to like the moment in Homecoming where he says like we're not there yet, right? When he thinks he's going for a hug, but then they are there now. I love fucking oh my god, what is it? Captain America wielding Mjolnir is so good.
Yes. Oh my, like...
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
God.
Yeah, I think there's just like a lot of really great moments in the fight itself, but like I guess it's I don't know if it's probably less of a thematic reason that I like it, probably, but it's a really great fight. And I felt like I should bring it up since it was a pretty recent one that I watched.
Another small thing about that fight that I like, if you're done, is the fact that like in Age of Ultron, right? Thor was like kind of nervous that Captain America was going to be able to hold it, right? Like he definitely thought that if anyone, Captain America would be able to, and he couldn't because Captain America couldn't because his arc wasn't complete, right? But he finishes his arc throughout the movies and he becomes worthy. But Thor also became more worthy because by the time Captain America is worthy to lift Mjolnir, Thor's happy for him, right? Like he's excited about it, right? He's not jealous or nervous or like, oh no, like he's
not insecure, right?
Right, like he's
which also
happy
kind of fits
for his
with
friend.
The interactions in Infinity War where he's like, like Peter's the one who's insecure, Star-Lord, right? And Thor isn't, right? Because Thor had just grown by that point, and Peter still has growing left to do. It's a really cool fight.
It looks great too. There's a bunch of just like really cool moments. One not so cool moment, but I don't want to keep harping on my hatred for women. Yeah. But yeah,
hateful.
So do we want to just name like a couple like quick fights?
You first, yeah.
Okay, I'll just name a small handful. Won't say much more than like a couple sentences about each of them. So one of them is I'm gonna pick a wrestling match. I don't know if this is my favorite match in terms of like the actual physicality and like what the spots and things, but I'm gonna say the full, because I don't consider it just two matches, right? Everyone talks about the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels matches at WrestleMania, but personally, I think there's two more matches that go into that, which are then the two Triple H matches after that. Because it tells this whole story, right? Of and everyone knows the story, the Undertaker Shawn Michaels match, right? Where Undertaker beats Shawn Michaels, and then it becomes a career versus streak, right? Where Shawn is so obsessed with ending the streak that he's putting everything he has, and he puts his career on the line. And then you get this match that's just like super like emotional, and it's like Shawn Michaels literally putting everything he has and still can't put Undertaker down. But I love that then the next stage of that is now Triple H is trying to avenge Shawn, right? And so at first they do the I think it's a no holds barred match. And Triple H can't put him away. And so then the next match is this Hell in a Cell match where it's Triple H versus the Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell, but now Shawn Michaels is the guest referee. And even though Shawn spends almost the entire match, right, trying to play neutral, like in that critical moment, he can't anymore. Like he wants to end the streak because the streak is what ended him. And so you get the moment where he gives a sweet chin music into the pedigree, Taker kicks out, and then the one last thing I'll say is that like Undertaker doesn't just take like the free pin from someone that's not Shawn Michaels. He gets the other refs like basically dead because Shawn Michaels has to be the one to end that match. Fucking great, like quadrilogy of matches. I'm going to say Takamura Hawk is fucking great.
Yeah.
I love, what it basically says about, Takamura and how he grows and things like that. I'll say, I already mentioned some fights in Undertale, but some other bosses just that I really like. The final boss in No More Heroes 1, I think in terms of how it plays, is super fun. So Hades as like the final boss of Hades where you fight him every time. When you really get into the meat of that story, it's really good. And then I'll put Kingdom Hearts 2 Roxas. When you consider as like this fight of Sora against like part of himself to really, kind of just at that point in the game is really, really good. So those are the fights I'll say. Sorry, I ended up
Okay.
talking way more about that wrestling match than I thought.
Yeah,
I would.
I was thinking about it as though you were going, and I was like, wait a minute, I thought we were supposed to go.
No,
like, more
I
about
wanted
them.
it to be quick, but then it was like as I started talking, I like realized I had more and more to say about it.
Anyway, so real quick, I also like Tucker versus Hawk. Really good stuff for his character. Everyone versus Baldrud in the Maiden Abyss Edafront arc. That's a really good one. The art is phenomenal in Maiden Abyss, and I need to see the movie.
That moment when he comes up and he fucking lands, he's got like the tail, and he's just so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Joe versus Rikishi in Volume 8 of Ashita no Joe. Phenomenal. Like, it's just, it's iconic, and it's like lasted in like cultural memory in Japan in particular for a very good reason. Like, it's really good. Ichigo versus Ulquiorra, which I thought about, and I realized it has some of the same appeal as like Luffy versus Katakuri to me, where you have this sort of like inverse development as Ichigo is becoming more of a monster while Ulquiorra is becoming more human, and it's just really fucking good. I mentioned the Palace Invasion a few episodes ago, which technically, like, I'm not considering it like, oh yeah, all the individual fights. I'm more considering it like the part where they divide into the fights, more or less. Which I mean does have like like shoot versus like Yopi a bit, but it's not like that's not like the fight, I guess. But
None just realized he could have talked about the knuckle moment and didn't. He's upset.
It's so sad. But yeah, no, just like I mentioned it before, but like what really like sticks with me about this segment is just how it handles time. Like really, like it I don't know, it was just interesting to read like a couple chapters and like 5 seconds have passed and just feel that weight of just the density of like everything that was happening. And I don't know, it's just a really interesting in a story, like in just like how it was presented, more even alongside just like the stuff going on. Yeah. Oh, and I guess to talk about video games for a bit, because I am like replaying a bunch of my favorite games, and in some cases they're whole franchises. So I've said this is like what possibly my favorite final boss fight a while ago. I'll say it again, even though I need to, double check by like playing a bunch of games, and in this case, actually playing the franchise for the first time, because the only entry I've played is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. But I just like really like the final boss fight of that game. Just like I think the fight is fun. The ideological conflict is interesting. The music.
He says, "Make America Great Again" before Trump. Funny.
Yeah, no, it's just like because I thought about it. I'm like I think even though there's other final bosses like in the Souls games I really like. I think Armstrong just hit Brian versus Armstrong just hits a lot of particular beats that I like. And so at the moment, I edges them out slightly, but we'll see when I finish my games replay. But anyway, go ahead, Ben.
So the first one I want to bring up is Inuyasha versus Sesshomaru 2. They fight a lot more times after, like at least 3 more times. But I think the second one's my favorite. I think it's rare for me, like in a shonen battle series, for like one of the earlier fights to stand out more than like some final stuff. Not that the final stuff isn't good, it's still really good, but I think it's less so for the fight probably. But I think this particular fight's really good because it's Inuyasha like being really honest with himself with how he like feels about Kagome and like putting everything on the line to fight for her. I think there's a lot of cool moments there, like especially when it's like I think it's probably if I remember correctly, it's the most he's pushed himself so far in the series. Yeah, I think so, unless I'm forgetting something. And I think it's like a really great fight because it's like even when like Sesshomaru like literally takes his sword, he's still able to fight him because he's like he really has to put himself on the line for Kagome here. And I think a lot of the stuff that happens after the fight is really great. Yeah, it's a really great fight. I guess one from a game is Sora and Riku versus Ansem. I think it's probably the most fun fight, like gameplay wise, for me in the series, I think. And also, Riku's my favorite, so it makes sense why that one would be my favorite.
I can't wait for you to do the DLC, by the way.
Yeah, I keep forgetting
I
about
need you to
it.
cry. I need you to cry over Mickey Mouse like I have.
I wish it wasn't fucking $40 or whatever the heck.
I think it's 30.
Sad.
Worth it.
Kenichi versus Ryoto from the end of like the Ragnarok part of Kenichi. Really great fight.
Look, I don't remember much from Kenichi, but I do remember all of his like masters coming in to punch the explosion. Like that's kind of hard to forget.
I think it was really cool how Kenichi kind of brought together all the different styles he's using, like, because like Ryoto's ability is like, well, it's not his ability exclusively, but it's like, I think he's the first person who uses it. It's basically like he kind of has this sphere of I forget what the fucking name of it is called, but he basically gets used to like someone's fighting style after like a certain like after he experiences it for a little bit. But Kenichi, since he learns like six different fighting styles, he just switches between them, and like he kind of thinks about how his masters are, and I think it's a really great fight. Ed versus Father, FMA, really great. I think it was part of why, at least for a small period of time, I thought FMA was like a favorite. Like number one, still is a favorite, just not like as high. I'm actually really upset. I would have brought this up for like a main pick. 3.0 plus 1.0 final fight, Shinji versus.
Well, I guess you couldn't. It's harder too because we can't spoil it for Vindy.
I just think
there's a whole backlog on it. People can go there.
I think it's easily a better conclusion for me than End of Eva, just because it's like Shinji actually confronting the root of all of his problems, and in End of Eva, like. Yeah, he does that, but it's like I think it's much more meaningful to me that he like directly goes to this person specifically, and I think it really just shows this change in Shinji a lot more positively for me, and a lot more meaningful to me than End of Eva. Yeah, it's really great. Yeah, I wish Vindy would fucking watch the series, but hateful.
Well, I'm watching Naruto.
The worst anime.
All right,
I would not mind if you just watched Eva,
do you have more?
but it is what it is. Yeah, that's probably all I'll bring up.
Blue period time.
Yeah, what'd you guys think of this episode?
None.
I forgot
You
to
didn't
watch
watch
it.
I knew it. I fucking knew it. That's why I said.
All right, well, we'll talk about
'cause you're
episode 6
toxic
and
and
7
hateful.
next time.
Pause.
Or 5 and 6.
Vindy
rather.
didn't
Sorry,
watch
I
it
misremembered.
either.
I did watch it.
Did you?
I
Great
forgot
episode.
to watch it yesterday, but I watched it.
What happens in it?
Oh my god!
Or when
I
we
watched
discussed
it.
when we were going to
I
discuss
watched it
things
yesterday.
but
I
I did
watched
watch
it-
it yesterday.
So if we had recorded yesterday, I would have been the only one who had seen the fucking
Yeah.
episode. Oh my fucking god! Well, just to make sure Crafts knows I watched it, the moment where here's all I'll say: the moment where he finally puts it all together,
Yes.
is really cool visually, and it does something that only this, like the painting he makes then and the first painting, do something visually, and I really want to talk about it because it's really good. But we'll talk about it next week.
Unfortunate.
I mean, I guess I could say it now, but none hasn't seen it, and I think it's kind of a super important episode, and I don't want to spoil it.
No, yeah, we'll wait.
We'll wait, but
So what have you been up to
Okay.
this week, None?
I can't think of anything I completed. Let me think. Yeah, the last thing I completed is still Kageki Shoujo. So
did you watch WandaVision with us? We could
Well,
talk
yeah,
about
but
the
we
first
didn't
4
finish
episodes.
it. But
That's true, but we could talk about. I mean, the problem is, I know that probably multiple of us are going to want to talk about it next week.
yeah, I don't want to
So-
really. I feel like
because I do really hope we like, even if it goes like over 2.5 hours, I'd be totally
Yeah,
fine
I
with
think we're probably
finishing
gonna finish it
WandaVision
next week,
because it's really
Yeah,
good
I
and
immediately
interesting.
watched those next 2 episodes. Holy shit! Not the next episodes, like for those.
No, I know. Yeah,
you didn't
3 and
watch
4,
on
the
the
ones
thing.
that you because you had to. Yeah,
I got a phone call as I was streaming it, so I didn't watch 2 of the episodes in the group watch, and I watched it later. So that's what I mean when I say the next episode. I didn't go ahead of my friends.
Right. Anything you've been going through that you haven't talked about already?
No, I mean, I started rereading something, but I barely read any of it so far, so I don't.
Is there anything you've even like a multiplayer game or something you've been playing, or
I've been playing
anything you
Ultra
completed a
Despair
while
Girls
ago?
again. I'm not done with it though, so I don't know if I want to bring it up, but it's a good game so far. I think like I'm at the part where whatchamacallit, where Toko and why am I forgetting her name?
Komaru?
Yeah, Komaru are fighting, well, they just got over it actually, but it was like I'm around that part. I think the chapter that just started was chapter 4.
Yeah, you're in the second half of the game. Or there's only 5 chapters, so you're getting close.
Yeah. Even though the gameplay isn't like, I think a lot of people bring up the gameplay as like, it's not that great, but I still think like the actual, dialogue and stuff is really good.
No,
it's like the main part of the. I feel like it's still part of like the main part of the game. Like
there's
mainly what
almost
you're
as
playing
much,
for.
if not more,
I think
like
there's more
character
dialogue.
talking and dialogue than there is actual like gameplay. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to find gameplay, so I went to a YouTube video that's just like a playthrough. I'm not looking at any of the dialogue. I'm literally just trying to see how the game plays, and I literally could not find gameplay because it's all talking, and I don't know anything about Danganronpa, so I'm skipping the talking. I just want to see what the game plays like. Fuck.
Right. No, it very much
Shut
shows
up!
its adventure game visual novel roots. Where like it's just, like mostly just a lot of dialogue, and because like you'll find a collectible and like there's a lot of book collectibles, and then Toko's a writer, so yeah, Komaru and Toko will talk about like the genre and like or have some conversation about it in some way.
That's why I kind of feel like even though the gameplay isn't like super amazing or anything, you should still play it because of all like the collectibles and the dialogue with that. Because I feel like if you watch like a playthrough that's just a story, you wouldn't get the experience of all those collectibles and Toko
even if you go like, and I found this out the hard like even if you go for 100%, there isn't an achievement for getting all of the books. So like there was actually like I remember I got 100% for the game, and I like look at my like go through my stat sheet and I saw the completion. It's like books 90%, and I'm like, well, now I got to go find that, because even though there's not an achievement, I'm not gonna like leave the game uncompleted. And yeah, I got a conversation, but I just remembered so yeah, no, I agree. It just makes sense to play the game because and then that way you can also like read stuff on your own terms, and I don't know.
Yeah, I just think a video that shows the entire story isn't gonna put in all the book stuff in it. Like I feel like that would just like, and it's not even the fault of the uploader. I just feel like you can't really include that. It'd be really weird and like jarring and like I don't know.
Well, people watch playthroughs to get a game story or cringers anyways. I think we can all agree.
Like I'll watch people playing games, but basically just Germa. But I definitely don't think of that as a substitute for like the story and So, and I know, obviously that I know some people who've done that in the past, but, but you're playing Danganronpa right now to make, so it's fine. Right?
Okay, dude. No, in my defense.
You're not the only person.
No. Shut up. In my defense.
Oh my god.
I didn't know what Danganronpa was. Like, I literally didn't know what it was, and I just happened to see somebody, like, streaming it, so I watched it. Like, I didn't plan on playing it, and I wasn't watching to, like, fucking get the story or whatever. I just happened to see it already, and then that's what made me like actually want to play it, because I didn't know what it was. So I think that's very different actually.
Okay.
But yeah,
I was also thinking of someone else, but don't worry.
Okay.
Maybe fourth member? Question mark? Exclamation point? Question mark?
Thinking more of a burger restaurant.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
I put that together. No, I put that together.
Yeah.
You don't need to type it. I know.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a small things that I really like about the game. I just like Toko in general. Like, she's more of a character. Well, she wasn't not a character before, but I do think.
No, I definitely think Ultra Sparagos does a lot for her because of the like surviving characters. She's probably like she's
No,
literally like
Hagakure
almost
is the weakest of the surviving. Easily.
That's fair. But like, I mean, mostly what I was thinking of, like, she doesn't even really get like a resolution. Like, she's literally not even like conscious for most of the climax. She's like, you get to the epilogue and she's like, "What the fuck happened? Where'd the mastermind go? Hello?" Like, so like the fact that the game actually like is able to go more into both her and and also through a relationship that isn't with Togami, so that's refreshing, right? And it's just like, the game
really
just does a lot for her.
The part where she's like thinking about how she needs to save Byakuya, but like, well, Togami, but like she keeps thinking of Komaru, and she wants to save Komaru too. It's really good.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of some stuff from the end of the game, and it's just like,
I really want to get to the end of the game because like I don't fully remember how the conclusion plays out. Like I remember one scene, like just one kind of scene, like, but not any like dialogue or anything. So I don't really know what happens, and I'm curious on like if it really reaches this like the same highs that each conclusion of Danganronpa reaches. So I really want to see how that goes. One thing I do think was a little weird that I don't know if it's like been brought up or addressed or anything, or like after that one kid who had the mask on, and everyone says they hate and stuff.
Yeah. The second chapter.
After after Komaru defeats him and stuff, she's kind of on this like for once she's like, oh, he deserved that, and like he was kind of like she, I don't know, she was kind of a lot more
less sympathetic towards him.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird, and like she doesn't continue being that way after that. And she doesn't realize she was like wrong in a moment or anything. So I'm wondering I'm wondering what that was about.
I'll keep that in mind when I replay it, because I'm just noticing a possible trend, but I need to like replay the game to make sure that I'm So I'll note that down somewhere so that I keep my eye on it, because that does sound weird.
Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to finishing it.
Okay, so. I'm technically going to talk about two things, but they're very, very connected, and I finished them both. And so I want to talk about both of them. Sumi, I finished both Square Enix Marvel games.
Okay.
So the Avengers game, bad poo-poo stinky, and the Guardians of the Galaxy game, good haha funny. So I'll talk about What?
So put them together and you get Gintama, because poop jokes are stinky, but also it's funny.
But I said bad, and that's not a Gintama.
No. Yeah, well,
all
right.
Yeah, I'll talk about him, I guess, in release order, even though I technically finished him in the opposite order. So Avengers, and what's interesting is there was an interview that came out this week where one of the guys who works at Square Enix, right, made a comment about how they realized that maybe Crystal Dynamics wasn't the best team for a live service game. Which is fucking true. But I think that, like, so I don't know for sure, right, if this is true, right? So take me saying this with a grain of salt, okay? Playing Marvel's Avengers feels like you're playing, and I also feel like this is true because the game took 6 years to come out or something like that, something crazy, like long development time. It feels like a game that was made to be like a modern single-player game, right? Where you play as the different Avengers, and they're different Avengers you played on different levels in the story. And like that's just kind of how the game was. And then someone publishing the game came in and said, hey, you see Destiny? Do that. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the ways that the Destiny mechanics are implemented into the game, the live service like looter game mechanics are implemented, don't feel natural and don't feel like they're a part of the game. They feel very tacked on, very forced, and just ripped one-to-one from Destiny. So some looter games will change the way things work from Destiny. This game doesn't. It has a lot of things the exact same, where there are factions and doing missions for them. You can get that up. One of the worst parts about the game as a looter game, I'll talk about first as a looter game, and then I'll talk about it as like an actual game, is that you don't actually see any cosmetic differences for getting loot. So that's something that's like pretty nice about playing like Destiny or other looter games. When you get new equipment, you can equip it your character looks different, right? As well as is potentially more powerful, potentially less powerful, things like that. In Avengers, that doesn't happen. And so you just get like, and the gear you equip doesn't even make sense. It's like, oh, I got a fucking shield rib cage for the Hulk that replaces the Stark Industries one I had before, and so it has 2 more power and nothing else, so it just does more damage. So they feel that's really like... shoddily implemented. The game isn't even co-op for most of it. I would say doing the main campaign, 3/4 of it you can only do alone. And so I was trying to play it with a friend as co-op, and like that, literally there were more missions that were single player than missions we were playing together. Thankfully, we haven't done the 3 expansions, so we haven't done... Also, get this. So each expansion adds a new playable character, okay? It's Hawkeye, and then Kate Bishop, so female Hawkeye, and then Black Panther. Why are there 2 Hawkeyes?
That is a little weird, yeah. And also, like, you'd think, you know, for Marvel game, the fucking Avengers, like, why wouldn't they have the main 6 Avengers available from the start? I don't know. Seems a little weird.
Yeah, well, because Kamala Khan's in the game. We'll get to that. I do think that, like, playing as some of the Avengers feels really good. I liked playing as Hulk, mainly because you can grab 2 people, swing them around like nunchucks, throw them off the map, smash them into each other. He's silly. Thor was pretty fun, too. The hammer was really satisfying. You could, like, throw the hammer at someone and pin them against a wall and then start punching other guys and call the hammer back to you and start hitting them with it. The problem is you also don't have most of the Avengers. Like, you don't have all the Avengers complete until, like, 2 missions before the end of the game. Like, you get Captain America and Thor at the very end. And then the game kind of makes you... But then the game makes you play as Captain America basically through the end of the game. But the problem with that is you don't have Captain America gear. So your Captain America is super under-geared.
Oh, no.
But it expects you to go grind missions to get Captain America's gear up before the final mission so that you can, like, play as them. And then the reason it has to be single player is because, like, some missions have you switching amongst Avengers for, like, the story, which would be super cool in a single-player only non-looter game. But when it's Destiny, so it just doesn't work. And, like, it feels really bad. Like,
basically like what you said, where the creators had this vision for it, then the publishers said, no, do this. So now it's like you're playing a round peg that has been forced into a square hole, basically.
Yeah,
right?
And so I think Kamala's really cringe in the game. Not only does she use Reddit, she's like there are just times where, like, there are scenes that are good, and then she opens her mouth, and my eyes are in the back of my skull. I really don't like Kamala. But, like, I think that, like, at times, it as, like, this single-player story game isn't great, but it's entertaining enough that, like, I would have probably had some fun with it, right? And said it was probably worth the $20 I spent. Right now, don't think it is. It's weird, and I do want to try the expansions that are made for co-op and see maybe are they better? Probably not going to be. But yeah, just like a fucking weird mess of a game that should have either been made from the beginning to be a looter game or should not have been forced to be a looter game. By the time I was done, dude, I was so not having fun in those last few missions. The final boss is so bad too. Like, you kind of fight it as Black Widow, but then you don't really. And then you just switch to Kamala, and she gets big, and you do a quick time event, and then the game's over. It's like, all right. And then the game's over. It's like, but is it really? You can go do all these missions on the map that don't really do anything, but get your gear up. Might want to do that. It took over a year. Like, the raid's coming later. The first raid in the game is coming later this month. Game came out in September of last year.
Oh, no.
Well, because it's Destiny, right? So it has to have raids, but it didn't have one on launch. So it's just really bad. Like, look, if you want to try it and you can get it for super cheap, or you have Game Pass because it's on that now, go ahead and try it. But I don't love it. But Eidos Montreal then came out and dropped a fucking hard banger. Probably my game of the year so far, of the ones I've played. Guardians of the Galaxy came out. I finished it. It came out on, like, Tuesday. I picked it up, like, Thursday night. Didn't play it till Friday after I got home from class and doing other, like, school obligations. I had it done by Monday, put 17 hours in it to finish it. Avengers, by the way, beating that game took me 10 hours. And that's with having to do dumb Destiny grinding that the game forces you to do at certain points. But Guardians was so fucking good. It's just a linear single-player game. You don't even play as the other Guardians. You only play as Star-Lord, so Star-Lord feels really fleshed out and fun to play. You do control the other Guardians by like giving them like abilities. Like they have abilities and you like tell them when to do their abilities, which gets really fun because you can like combo their abilities together really well. The game has I think its soundtrack goes harder, like just song list wise, goes harder than the movies. So that's great. A great part about it. I think gameplay's fun. It's not amazing, but it does some things I really like. For a third-person shooter, I like when they have lock-on. A lot of them don't. A lot of them just do the kind of cover, like Gears of War style thing. And I really like that. This game uses lock-on because you're Star-Lord, right? You're bouncing around, you're double jumping around, you're dashing, you're flying. So I don't want to be focused on aiming because if you're focused more on aiming, it like de-emphasizes movement, right? Because it's harder to aim and move. So when you can lock on, I can freely focus on my movement and on my Guardian's abilities and doing that because I don't have to worry about aiming. I just lock on. Works really well. Music is great. I really like the story. It does a lot of like the stuff that the Guardians movies do. So it has like the familial themes and it has a lot of the ideas of like having people in your past that have died and like creating a new family within the Guardians. But I think it does it better. And part of the reason for that is just that it has more time, right? It was a 15-hour game, if you're not playing on hard. So like a 15-hour game, all the Guardians get like substantial development, except for Groot, but all he could say is "I am Groot," right? Like, come on.
There's only so much you can do.
Groot is like the glue of the team. Like a lot of times he's like he's like the wholesome guy the whole time, right? Because, they're all assholes, which is good, but, like, it very much is, like, they're not really on the same page at all at the beginning. And then, like, right around, like, the start of Act 3, right? Like, after the low point, they all kind of finally become a team. And so, like, when they're all working together and they're laughing together in, like, those last few chapters is fucking great, and I love it. I think the story is just so good. It has so many great fucking moments. And it's great to see, like, Rocket get a lot of development, and Gamora get a lot of development, and Drax get a lot of development. And you have dialogue options that can matter. And I don't think there's multiple endings, but, you can do certain dialogue things that will maybe affect, like, you can do things and, like, kind of win people over or talk to people, and then they'll come back later on in the game and help you out and make things easier. Or if you fail it, they won't. I thought it was a really, really fun game. Really good. I was hoping to like it, but I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. The story goes dummy hard at a couple points. So yeah, I definitely super recommend the Guardians game if anyone was interested. And thankfully it looks like it's selling well, which means like Square Enix, I guess, kind of figured out, it's much better to just make a single player.
There's 2 Marvel games to look at, and it's like, one of these was, hopefully well received and sold well, where the other one was a, disaster. Well,
it still sold pretty well, but of course it was an Avengers game, but Square still see it as a failure because of how much money they put into it and it didn't recoup that. And I think, and
especially if it's supposed to be like a lifestyle game and it didn't capture an audience, then oops.
Yeah, but I think Guardians should do well, and hopefully then Square kind of realized, let's just do more single player, good Marvel games that aren't just about Spider-Man, right? Like, I would love to see more single player Marvel games from them. About different heroes, right? Because we got the Avengers, obviously. We got the Guardians, makes sense. Those movies are super popular. Give me, like, like an actual X-Men game instead of just a Wolverine game. Or give me, like, a fucking, I don't know, like a Doctor Strange game or something, right? Like, get wild with it. So I hope we see more, but, yeah. Guardians game, very pog. I highly recommend it. I've already told Crafts you should play it because I know there's going to be some shit that... So, yeah.
Okay,
fortunate.
So...
Did you say fortunate?
Unfortunate.
Oh.
I thought it was like subverting his normal formula by saying
I was going to pog out of my mind.
So anyway, I could have talked about this last week, but I had something else I wanted to talk about. So instead, I will also talk about 2 games that I think are connected. Thus, it's reasonable for me to talk about them. In fact, more reasonable than Vindy's 2 examples. Not that they,
Fuck you.
Not that it wasn't, but I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna like compare, then I think it makes more sense to talk about Star Fox and Star Fox 2 at the same time because
not
like
everything
they're
has to be a competition.
Same consoles, same franchise. I don't know. Just anyway. So yeah, I played Star Fox and Star Fox 2 both on the. I played them on the Switch technically. Even though but anyway, because Star Fox 2 technically released in 2017, but it was basically like 99 or 98% developed. But they did, as I understand it, they didn't release it because of Star Fox 64, and it was coming out so close then, or that with a new console was coming out so close, they just sort of shelved the game. Though they did use elements of it in other Star Fox games. I think Star Fox Command, the DS one in particular, very much draws on Star Fox 2. Though, and from what I like, the one thing I remember from the trailer of Star Fox Zero, having the like walking mech is also very reminiscent of Star Fox 2. So it's kind of interesting to be playing it in like the intended release order, if that makes sense. Because I'll get this, because the first Star Fox was more or less remade in the form of Star Fox 64, in that they both like primarily focused on the the rail shooter, arcade shooter, flight combat thing. Where you have the different routes which have different difficulties, and you just fly through the courses and shoot enemies. The problem with the Super Nintendo one is I do think it's interesting as a piece of gaming history because it's like one of the first it's a 3D game with like polygons and shit on the Super Nintendo. So it's very much like pushing the hardware limitations, and it very much shows, which is also one of the problems with the game. Like there's really no reason to play the original Star Fox except for like if you're personally interested in like it as its place in more like this console or this franchise or whatever. Because if you just want like the experience, but like Star Fox 64 is basically like the same concept but executed much more strongly, I think. Like, and there were some neat things. Like there's some bosses that I thought were kind of creative, I guess, relatively speaking. But then like probably for me the biggest problem with the game is that like it just feels like claustrophobic almost. Like I feel like it's moving a little too quickly, or not because of the speed of the game, but more because of the pop-in, because it literally like, can't render like things that are too far away. So like, and I know it's like a design limitation that they like were aware of and worked with, because there's literally a part in one of the levels where like a mountain just appears in front of you and you have to like dodge the mountain basically because of just how like the short the draw distance is. It's also really bad. There's a specific turret enemy that I remember bugging me because like his bullets would appear in the air before the turret did, and I just felt like they popped in a lot slower than certain other enemies in the game. It's just like so that makes the gameplay a little bit more troubling than I felt like it had to be. Just because like it's more about like reacting to the things that are suddenly appearing in front of you, even though you could see the ground that they were on for far longer, basically. And also there's the other kind of levels as takes place. It's like the viewpoint is in your cockpit, so it's like first person, and they're always in like space, so there's like stars flying past and shit. And it gives me motion sickness because they're going so fast. So yeah, it's like I guess the game was fine except for the part that like it's just kind of the game just gave me a headache trying to play it a bit. So I can't recommend the original Star Fox. Star Fox 2 is actually kind of interesting though, because it kind of like takes what it goes in a different direction in a sense. Like it still has the ship combat, but there's two kind of like, instead of having courses, basically the whole system is under attack and you sort of fly between planets and sort of intercept like missiles or fighters, or attack bases like on a map basically. Like it's almost more of a tower defense thing where you fail if Corneria reaches 0% health if it gets attacked too much. So it's kind of neat gameplay wise, and then like how the actual like combat works is completely different, where if you like you either have like a dogfight thing where it's from first person and it's kind of so you're flying around like a zone and trying to destroy the targets, or you have a level where you can fly on the level, but you're supposed to use the bipedal mech that your R-Wing can transform into. And so the gameplay slows down a bit. And yeah, I actually thought it was pretty solid, all things considered. Like I still don't like particularly like it, but it was definitely like it was kind of neat to see the franchise like having been experimenting with its formula in ways that like it didn't because this game didn't come out. But I can still like Star Fox Assault. I remember it being criticized for the third-person shooter segments where you're on the ground. But having played Star Fox 2, I can see why that was kind of a natural evolution, I guess. It was just kind of neat. Again, I still didn't love it, but it was just kind of I it's the start of my replay of the Star Fox franchise. So I'll probably talk about more of the games as I finish them because I'm on the Star Fox Adventures right now, but which is a whole thing that I'll talk about when I finish it. But that about covers it. Maybe if I were to like as far as recommendations go, maybe check out the second one for like an hour or two just to check it out. But other than that, I wouldn't. You don't need it. If you're gonna play a Star Fox game, it should probably be 64. So
I played the first Star Fox game for like 2 minutes. Not a fan.
Yeah, I have played it multiple times and never, I think, done more than like the first planet. Just I've had my fill.
Yeah, I beat all 3 brutes. So not every stage because there's some like bonus stages that I didn't look up how to get to, but I did. Who's your favorite member of the Star Fox team? Aside from Fox, either Peppy or Falco. Though I guess in the original Star Fox they don't have like how the squad was handled in the original Star Fox. Like I could see what they're trying to do because it was handled more interestingly in like later games, particularly Star Fox 64. But in like it was especially annoying because because I'd replay parts of the levels because I die or whatever, and like because there's this scripted segment where this party member is under attack and you save them, and they'll just swap out which party member it was and they'll say the same dialogue every time. And I'm just and then when you save them, they'll just like fly in the same position and start shooting forward and basically contribute nothing to the level. I'm like, okay, why are you even here? Like, and also the game, like, because of the graphical limitations of the game, there were legitimately times where I started shooting my ally because I could not tell them apart from the enemies. So that happened.
Can't believe you hate Slippy Toad. What the heck?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is Falco black? Is he?
That's a good question.
I mean, he is the black person's melee character, so. No, that's just fucking true. Like that's
all right.
Proven.
I'll leave that up to the black video game community to decide if they're adopting Falco or not.
I asked you, is he black?
I can't think of any particular reasons why I would think that. Or one way.
I was hoping Kraus was about to say, I can't think of any reasons why not.
That too.
You know why? I can think of a reason why not. Actually, Nun, you ready for this one?
Okay.
Craftsdwarf likes Falco. He said he was one of his favorites. Therefore, Falco can't be black because then Crafts can't like him anymore.
What the heck?
Am I wrong?
Maybe I feel like he would realize he's black and be like, well, he's not my favorite anymore.
See, I feel like as far as like, because I had really like the first time I've actually been thinking about like the characters is Star Fox Adventures because like it is the first time that Fox really has like a character beyond just like leader guy with a dead dad. And it's not a particularly interesting characterization, but like he has to have dialogues with characters.
My father's dead.
Yeah, that's kind of what his character is in like Star Fox 64 and like you can get some percent out of the characters in the earlier games just from like the few lines they have, but it's not a lot. Like 64 really like starts to characterize them, I guess. And honestly the one I'm most interested in as far as Star Fox like Adventure, like honestly, yeah, I'm kind of interested in all the ones I have left to play because Adventures is just like the understandable black sheep of the franchise just because of like how it happened.
Yeah, like the fact that it literally didn't start as a Star Fox game.
Exactly, right. So just like it was kind of an accident, so it's just kind of like interesting within the franchise. Assault definitely has like the most story stuff that I remember, and also retroactively, yeah, it's also kind of interesting because it does incorporate Star Fox Adventures into its story, as despite being more of an actual Star Fox game. But and then Star Fox Zero, I basically know nothing about except that nobody liked it. So I'm a little interested in that one.
One more Star Fox question before we... None you say?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say that like people just didn't like the fact that you had to look down at the gamepad so much. And you couldn't really look at the TV as much as you would have wanted to. That's mostly what I
Okay.
know people complain
Yeah,
about.
I'll see how I feel because I'll be playing on an emulator. So,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
I don't have much other choice. I didn't get a Wii U, so we'll see how that
Sad.
works. I don't know
okay.
how well it'll work. I got it to run at least, but I hope it at least like function. I might not even be able to really play it, as I'll find out. But I'll worry about that after Assault. So anyway, go ahead.
Here's my question. Who do you think is hotter, Crystal or Carrot?
Neither.
No. I didn't ask if they were hot. I said who was hotter.
God.
Gun to your head. You have to have sex with one of them. Which one? And don't say you'll take the bullet.
It's like, which is being worse, a furry for bunnies or a furry for like alien foxes?
Yeah.
God.
Look.
Well, Crystal feels less like pedophilia, so.
Okay.
Because
So
Sula and
no.
Carrot would destroy me, so I'd rather avoid that. Dying, I guess.
Sad.
All right.
Craftsdwarf said sex with an alien wolf. Kinky.
I mean, look, it's like putting a fucking tying a rug around a fucking body pillow. Like for I don't know.
Can we stop pretending like Carrot isn't hot? All right, everyone. Thank you for watching the Weeb Club. That's it for this episode.
All right.
Adios, muchachos.
Goodbye.